Ava had always been a confident young woman, maybe too confident at times. At 20 years old, she was independent, outspoken, and never one to back down from saying what she thought. Growing up, her mother had raised her with strong values, but lately Ava had started to believe she was above being corrected. She was an adult now, after all. That summer afternoon, Ava was at the mall with her friends, enjoying the freedom of being out on her own. They walked past a small bench where a little boy was struggling to tie his shoelaces. He had Down syndrome, and his small hands fumbled with the laces as he focused intently on the task. His mother knelt beside him, encouraging him gently. Ava barely paid attention until the boy accidentally dropped his shoe and let out a frustrated noise. For some reason, it made her snicker. "Wow," Ava whispered to her friends, rolling her eyes. "He's really struggling. It's just shoelaces." One of her friends, Emily, looked at her with an uncomfortable expression. "Ava, that's not." But before she could finish, the little boy's mother turned around. She had heard everything. "That's my son," she said, her voice steady but firm. Ava felt her stomach tighten, but she lifted her chin defiantly. "I wasn't trying to be mean." The woman's eyes didn't waver. "Maybe not, but you were cruel." Ava felt the heat rise to her face. She wanted to argue, to say something clever, but for some reason she couldn't find the words. Her friends shifted awkwardly beside her, clearly realizing how wrong the moment was. Ava finally muttered, "Whatever," and walked away. Deep down, something gnawed at her. That evening, Ava strolled into her house, expecting nothing out of the ordinary. But the second she stepped through the front door, she knew something was wrong. Her mother was standing in the middle of the living room, arms crossed. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a cold weight in her eyes that made Ava's stomach twist. "Ava Marie," her mother said, using her full name, a sure sign she was in trouble. Ava hesitated. "Yeah." Her mother took a slow step forward. "Do you have something to tell me?" Ava swallowed. "Mrs. Thompson." The realization hit like a brick. Mrs. Thompson was one of her mother's closest friends, and she must have witnessed the entire thing at the mall. Ava started, but she had no excuse, no way to explain herself. Her mother's voice was sharp, cutting through the silence, mocking a little boy for struggling with something he can't control. "Have I ever raised you to act that way?" Ava felt a lump in her throat. "Mom, I didn't mean." Her mother held up her hand, stopping her. "No, you did mean it. You said it. You laughed. You embarrassed an innocent child for no reason other than your own arrogance." Ava clenched her jaw. She wanted to defend herself, but what could she say? Her mother wasn't wrong. Then, her mother walked toward the hallway closet and opened it. Ava's breath hitched when she saw what she pulled out, a wooden paddle, smooth and well-worn from years of discipline. Ava hadn't seen it in a long time. It had been a part of her childhood, a reminder that her mother meant it when she talked about respect. "Mom, I'm 20, Ava said, trying to sound confident. "I'm an adult." Her mother's gaze didn't soften. "Then you should know better." Ava's heart pounded. "Bend over the couch," her mother instructed. Ava's face burned. "Mom, Now." The room was silent except for the ticking clock. Ava swallowed her pride, knowing there was no escaping this. Slowly, she stepped forward and bent over the arm of the couch, gripping the fabric tightly. Her mother stepped behind her. There was a brief pause, then crack. The paddle landed firmly across Ava's backside. She gasped, gripping the couch tighter. The sting was sharp, not unbearable, but enough to send a message. Another crack followed, making Ava flinch. By the third swat, her eyes were stinging with unched tears, not just from the sting, but from the weight of her shame. Her mother set the paddle aside and crossed her arms. "You will apologize," she said firmly. "To that boy, and to his mother." Ava sniffed, rubbing at her eyes. She nodded. I will. Her mother studied her for a moment before speaking again, her voice softer now. I raised you to be better than this, Ava. Kindness costs nothing, and cruelty, it has consequences. Ava wiped her face and nodded again. This time she meant it. The next day, Ava returned to the mall. It took some searching, but she finally spotted the little boy and his mother outside a toy store. Ava shifted on her feet. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For what I said yesterday, it was wrong. Ava left feeling lighter. She knew she couldn't undo what she had said, but she had learned a lesson she would never forget.